Hi everybody, Barry here. I got tired of being at home, so I decided to go out and see the world. Okay, I'm sorry, but it's been a long couple of months, hasn't it? Anyhow, so the other night, Emily asked me a really interesting question, which I wanted to share with all of you. She's going to start being careful about what she says because I'm bringing them into my videos, but she asked me how I stayed positive. And that was a pretty interesting question for somebody who's been married to me for over 20 years. Sorry for her. But I thought about it for a second, and I actually have a process for staying positive, and I wanted to share it with you because it's really not that complicated. Our thoughts are the only things that we truly control in this world. They are the only things that we can seriously go and say, I am going to make you change. And it's so easy for us to get caught up in the negative, especially today, because there's so much negativity around us. And over the years, after I crashed my motorcycle, there were so many negatives and can'ts and wouldn't be able to's that the way that I kept positive was by realizing that I was being negative. And being aware of your thoughts is really complicated and difficult because we have tens of thousands of thoughts every day and you can't control every single one of them. So how do you control and how do I control when I'm positive? Well, what I found in listening to some of the big motivational speakers that live in a van down by the river is that they have triggers. And those triggers are things that whenever that trigger happens, they stop. And I think about what it is that I'm thinking about. And are those thoughts positive or negative? My trigger, you're going to laugh, is stoplights, red lights. Because I drive a lot. And whenever I get to a red light and I stop, that is a trigger for me to stop what I'm thinking about and think about, is that thought positive or negative? And what's interesting is, as a positive person, as I started doing this, I was surprised at how many of my thoughts were actually negative. I did have negative thoughts. What if that person says this? And what if this happens? And what? It was like, whoa, why am I thinking so negative when I don't need to be? And as I started to practice this trick, and every single time I would get to a stoplight, I would think, what am I thinking? And then I would realize that I was thinking negative, so I would just change that negative to positive. And over the course of several years in practicing this a lot and thinking about it, I realized that when I stop, and I don't do it every time I get to a red light now, but occasionally I'll get to that red light and it'll trigger me to think, what am I thinking about? That I truly am thinking more positive. And it's been more difficult in the last few months because of all the fear of, I don't go out to stoplights anymore because I'm afraid to go out or I might catch this stupid thing that's going on. But so I've learned other triggers now that I use to make sure that I am staying positive, because your thoughts drive your actions, and your actions are what end up then directing how it is you're feeling because of what you're doing. So by staying positive, you will smile more and you will be happier. And by thinking of what your thoughts are, you can drive yourself to stay positive. So that's my little tidbit for today. I love all of you. I hope you are staying safe and staying healthy, and I can't wait for us to do this in person very soon. Take care. Love you. Bye.